I spoke with Joann Pucciarelli today. Joann is an old friend. I love her. She's a wife, mom, and entrepreneur who started her own company in New York City, helping brands launch their wholesale business. October is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I was honored to have her also share her personal story. I hope you enjoy this podcast. Where are you from?
Staten Island.
I'm obsessed with this. We can really delve into this borough today. I love it. So what is, for people who have never gone or been, what is Staten Island like? Is it an urban area? Is it suburban?
It's suburban.
Okay.
It's suburban.
So people are driving cars?
Everywhere.
Okay, so it's just like a regular...
It's a regular suburban town.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Did you go to like the local school down the block?
I did. I went to the local public school for kindergarten, and then the local school until 5th grade.
Yeah.
And then middle school.
So it was like
Yeah.
a normal...
High school, all in like 10-mile radius, not even.
What's
5.
the community like out there?
I had an incredible childhood. I wouldn't give it up for anything. I think growing up in Staten Island made me who I am today.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of family values. And I grew up, going to my grandparents' house every Sunday, no matter what.
You're also Italian.
Yes, I am. For a 1 o'clock dinner.
Yeah.
Dinner.
Sauce.
Mm-hmm. And I had incredible friends who I'm still friends with to this day.
Who live near you now as
Yeah.
well. Yeah,
Some
you
of
have
them
a
came with
tight-knit...
me. I have a very tight-knit community, and that's what I had growing up.
Yeah.
I had a great circle of friends, great circle of family.
Yeah.
Listen, I wouldn't have, like I said, I wouldn't have changed it for the world growing up in Staten Island.
Any misconceptions about Staten Island that people might have?
I think there's a lot.
I feel like that's why you're here today. Let's just settle it.
Listen, I don't know how to say this in the right way. There's definitely misconceptions, but I will say, and I'll say it again, that it's a great community of people. Mm-hmm. It really is.
And if you take the ferry out there, you've got a great view, Statue of Liberty.
I mean, I will tell you, it's the best view.
I know, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I know. Anything you miss about not being there anymore?
I miss my family. But it's a 35-minute drive, so I see my parents all the time.
Yeah, you do.
I like going there. I love going food shopping there.
Do you go out there for food shopping?
Yeah, because I'll go visit my parents.
Oh, that's
I'll drop the
smart.
girls off, and
Yeah.
we'll grab stuff that we need.
Yeah. Do you find that the prices in Staten Island are cheaper? Yeah, I find that in Long Island too.
Yeah.
Way cheaper.
Yeah, way cheaper.
Oh, that's a nice hack.
So it's perfect.
Yeah.
So I miss it
Yeah.
when I go back, and I'm like, but then when I drive back to the city, I'm like, oh, this is home.
Right. You're a city girl.
Yeah.
Now, where did you meet your husband?
In Staten Island.
In Staten Island. So he's a Staten Island guy.
Yes.
How old were you?
I was 17, just about to turn 18.
That's wild.
It was the summer going into my freshman year of college.
That's crazy.
But I've known him forever.
Yeah.
Because my best friend and his best friend are brother and sister.
I'm obsessed with this. Also because you rarely hear people meet this young anymore and then stay together,
And
which,
stay.
by the way, today's an important day.
It is 19 years married.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
I'd like to say I was there.
You were.
Celebrating.
Yes.
It was an awesome, awesome night. I'm so happy for you guys.
Yeah.
That's a wild. So going back to Staten Island, when you were working in the city, and we'll get to your job in a minute, did you live in the city or were you commuting?
We commuted.
Okay, so tell me what that was like.
Oh, fun.
I know. I did my commuting time on Long Island.
You drive to the bus, you park your car there.
Yes.
I took the bus through Jersey. And then I would hop on, depending on where I was in my career. But yeah, the bus would go through the Lincoln Tunnel and get off at 34th Street.
Yeah.
And my first job was at Nicole Miller.
Yeah.
And I would just walk to the office.
Right, it was right there.
But then it became, as different jobs than a bus, a train, planes, trains, and automobiles.
Right. Did you find yourself socializing in the city a lot, or would you just head back home during the early days?
No, I socialized a ton in the city.
Yeah, so you would get home late at night,
Yes.
barely any sleep, you were young, it didn't matter.
Didn't matter.
I'm speaking for myself
I know.
as well. Yeah, there were there were nights I missed a train by a minute and then had to wait an hour at Penn Station and take a 3 a.m. train back home to get up at 6 to go back into the city.
Or if you were lucky enough to have a friend that lived in the city,
right,
then you
that
could
was
stay over.
gold.
That was that was clutch.
But you needed a little prep, but not really in your 20s. You could kind of just...
No, and working in fashion, you don't need any prep because then you would just go to the sample
Joann,
closet.
this is not in my notes. Please explain how amazing it was working in fashion. You walk into your...
So you go to work all day, and then all your friends from work decide you're going to have drinks and happy hour, and you go, and then you decide, okay, now we'll eat, we'll go out more, and then it becomes 1 a.m. And you could stay at your friend's apartment because the next morning, yes, you can borrow something from your friend, but you could also just go to the sample closet. And in fashion, and when you work in a showroom, after you show the collection, or even when you're brand new collection, there are things in the sample room, in the sample closet, where you go in, you grab a dress, grab a top, and you change.
Exactly.
And
so you could change and
it's acceptable.
Totally, you had to wear the clothes of the designer you're working for.
Every day I had to wear that designer, because I could be at a market appointment.
Now the work people, like the people we all worked with, we would make fun of each other because we knew what was going on.
Exactly.
But we called it the walk of shame, just because we were out late the night before.
Right.
But that is a great story. We were lucky back then. My gosh.
So lucky.
So lucky. Was there a culture shock going from Staten Island life to New York City life?
No.
Or did it feel natural?
It felt natural. I think because, you know, even though I actually went to college in Staten Island as well, so I really did not leave home.
Yeah.
We went out in the city a lot.
Okay.
So it for me, it was just an extension of my suburban life.
You're different than me. I didn't go into the city a ton in high school and in college, just maybe a couple times a year, but you were closer to than I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Describe your family now.
So now, I have my husband, Phil, and I have 2 girls.
Yeah. How old?
Olivia is 11. When she'll be 12 in January, and Lou is 3, and she'll be 4 in February.
Oh, they're so cute. What area in New York City do you live in?
In Tribeca.
Now talk about Tribeca.
So we did the opposite of every person in the world. We commuted our whole lives from Staten Island to New York, got married, took a little bit of time to have Olivia, but then when Olivia was born, I had just left my job at Theory to start consulting. And I was home with the newborn, and Phil came home and said, I found an apartment in Tribeca. We're moving.
Where were you before? In Staten Island still?
Yes.
Oh, I had no idea.
I mean, I was in Staten Island until 2013.
Joann, I don't even know if I remember that. I mean, it was years ago. We'd be out all the time. You guys
Because you had no idea.
No, well done.
Well, then at that point, when we would go out later on, Phil would drive home. We became adults.
Right, yeah, you became adults, right. It took us a little longer. You got married a little younger than us. What do you love about Tribeca?
So I was a little nervous at first. I couldn't believe that I had just quit. And now I have a newborn living in the city. Leaving both sets of parents behind. Those are my babysitters.
Yeah.
And now we were going to the city, but we quickly realized that in order for Phil to have any relationship with his child, we had to be closer to where he worked.
Because he works in
finance.
Right, so he travels, he works long hours.
He, at that point, was working 24/7.
Yeah.
So we moved to Tribeca, and it was the best decision we ever made. He was able to see her in the morning. If he had a busy day, he would come home for bedtime. She went to bed at 6:30.
Yeah, yeah.
He would come home, have a quick dinner with her, see her, give her a bath, and then leave.
Wow.
And go back to the office.
So was his office nearby?
Midtown, I think it was.
Okay.
So
yeah. What do you love about Tribeca, the area?
Oh, first of all, you could take your kid anywhere there.
Yeah. You really
Nobody
can.
you could bring him into any restaurant.
It's so
Nobody
peaceful down there.
gives you a dirty look about it.
Right. It's all families. It's
all
peaceful.
families.
Everyone I feel like is smiling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you smile on the street when you're walking?
I try.
Yeah.
It depends.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe not you, but other people are smiling. It's like so nice and quiet and peaceful down there. What is your community like down there?
Oh, it's wonderful. It's like
I feel like you create community wherever you go, Joann.
I really try to. I created a great community when I started working.
Yeah. They were like family.
And of course, and they're still family to this day. And I think you create another community once you have kids.
Definitely.
Because now you're like, okay, now I have this. I literally remember I came home with Olivia. I'm like, now what? Now what do I do?
Yeah.
And I think when I went to the city, we live in a great building that 85% of the families were Olivia's age. It was us. It was more about everyone just had a kid, kind of in the same age group. We would meet in the playroom. We have a great rooftop. We would go out there.
Been on your rooftop.
You have.
And I got a glimpse of your community. You guys do it right.
We do.
Are you up there every night?
Every night.
And you're like, guys, I'll bring a bottle of wine. You got some bring it upstairs. See you at 7. And you've got like all these women and families and everyone's running around, hanging out. You don't even really have to watch the kids. They're safe and
They're safe
around
and
you.
Contained. Yeah.
It's really great.
It's a great community, and I think...
And they're so nice.
And I think that's what I also embraced the city so much, because I didn't feel alone, which was wonderful.
Yeah.
And I created another like group of these mom friends who are my closest friends.
Yeah.
In addition to my family friends from Staten Island.
Yeah, you've got
nice.
you've got an awesome community. What culture activities do you in the city that you may find important or that you guys like to do together?
We try, and I will tell you, we don't do this enough, to take advantage of the city. I think we get so caught up. I think when Olivia was younger, we were able to do it more because we had more time on our hands of like, let's go to the museum, let's go to Central Park, let's go to Battery Park, let's do all these fun things. I think as the kids get older, sports become a real big part of their lives, and then school, and then friends. Olivia's 11, like she's got
bigger.
her own social life.
Yeah.
But we don't take advantage of the great things that the city has to offer, and we really, really try to, but it's hard.
It made me think, some people have a misconception that New York City kids don't get enough air, or they're not outside enough, or they're not active enough. Can you tell me your experience with your family? And you guys have...
Yeah, no,
you're very active. Your kids are very active.
They're active. I mean, Lulu is like a park rat. She's in that park every day.
I've never heard that term. That's true. All our kids are park rats.
They're park rats. But I also living down in Tribeca, there's so many parks, and there's like the West Side Highway, which is like the pier.
You got some good parks down there.
We have some great parks in there, and honestly, it's the roof. It's the outside. It's really, because sometimes I don't want to be at the park, and we'll just get the scooter and go upstairs.
Yes.
No, but they're out.
I never had that. You're very lucky to have that.
They're out a lot. I mean, Olivia now is a huge softball player.
Yeah, and you're like traveling all over to the tri-state area.
Phil is, yes.
Phil is, good. And what else does Olivia do?
She does a lot. She plays golf. She horseback rides.
That's incredible. So kids can horseback ride in New York City.
Yes, they can.
Where does she horseback ride?
Well, we do it out in the summer. Yeah. Out in Long Island.
Yes.
But also uptown in Riverdale, there's a huge sable.
So did Ella. My daughter Ella was horseback riding. It's you don't even feel like you're in the city when you go up there. No, you don't. It's incredible.
It is. It is.
Yeah, and then you also, there's swimming and all of that. That Lulu does.
She does it all.
Yeah, she does it all. Do your kids, I don't know if Olivia is Lulu in school, do they both do private, public school?
Both do private.
Okay.
And they're both now in the same school.
They're in the same school. Mm-hmm. So describe private school life in New York City. Is it super competitive? Is it really nurturing? What is the atmosphere like?
I think it's what you make it. I think it really stems from family and your parents and how you're raised. But yes, it's competitive for sure. Don't get me wrong. There are, we applied to, this is going to sound crazy, we applied to one school.
Did you?
That's it.
So,
but I have friends who applied to 15 schools.
So we don't have to name the school, but why did you choose that one school? What was important to you?
It's very simple. A lot of our neighbors went there.
Right. So it all goes back to the rooftop. Let's be honest. It's your buddies.
And they loved it, and they're like, "You should tour. You should go see it." And we did, and we fell in love with it.
No, I get it, because you like the community. It was already there.
And we made it kind of easy. I think you can make things hard here in the city, but I understand why, because it is competitive.
It is.
And there's a lot of different, there's just a lot of different, how do you say it? What's the word? Not different kids, different ways that people grow up, different, just
different values,
different values.
Yeah. Set of importance of what they find important.
Yeah, what you find important. I think once you realize what you find important, you could help guide your kids that way too.
I agree.
It doesn't make them so anxious.
It's really the atmosphere you create around your kids that's going to set the tone for everything in their life. We touched on this, but community at the private school your kids go to, does everyone live in that same area, or are you guys dispersed around the city? So that's a little different than public school life, where we're all like a 10-block radius.
Yes.
Is the community still strong? I feel like you're going to say yes, because you've got your people that...
It is, and then you build it first, right? Because they're so little, so you kind of make the play dates, and that's kind of what
like a part-time job, right?
what Lou's doing now.
Yeah.
But now that Olivia's in 6th grade, she does her own. But now she has friends who have now left, because now 6th grade is like a big entry year. Like you leave, you go to a different school, or you stay.
Yes.
She had quite a few friends that left.
Okay.
But she still makes her own community with them.
Does she travel alone yet?
No.
Okay. Okay. Do you drive your kids to school? How do your kids get to school?
It's a combo. We
Okay.
drive. We drive depending on who needs the car that day.
Yeah.
Mostly Phil takes the car a lot, but now that they have 2 pickup times, which is fun.
Yes.
Yeah. I drive.
You drive. Did you drive this morning before
I
the
did not
interview?
drive this morning.
Okay. Okay.
Today was different. 'Cause
Okay.
I came up here.
Yeah. And what do you guys do for vacation and during the summers? Do you stay in the city?
We do both. We stay in the city. We'll head out to Long Island for a few weeks at the beach.
Yeah. Where on Long Island?
In the Hamptons.
Now, community out there, is it the same people you're seeing in the city, or do you have a different set of community out there?
It's the same.
So that's fun.
It's
Everyone's
definitely the same. And then I think with Olivia's riding, that's where it becomes a little bit different, which is really nice, because then it's a whole set of different people who
agree.
either live out there,
Yeah.
live in like South Carolina or Florida, and they come out there for the summers just to ride.
Yeah, I do find, depending on how many kids you have, you do meet different sets of people. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Once I had my 3rd, I was like, I'm good. I mean, if I meet someone nice, it's fine. I don't really need
I
this.
think you saw your 2nd as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to look cool and say my 3rd. But then I met some like really amazing parents. I was like, okay, there's some cool people. Like you build your community.
Yeah.
So you head out to the Hamptons in the summer. Are you working out there?
Yes.
We'll get into your work in a second.
Yeah,
so you
I'm
do work.
definitely-
So that's cool. So you can work from
I can work from home.
out there. That's awesome. Okay, that's really great. Not many people can say that. How do you find your peace in a city that never sleeps? What do you do?
I watch The Housewives at night on my couch.
Yeah. It's so funny. A lot of people are like, I close the door on my house and I put on my sweatpants.
And I put on TV.
Yeah, no, we can all relate to
best.
that. I know, it's the best. Like a glass of wine.
Yeah.
Hang out at home. It's my favorite thing to do.
Same.
Like I hibernate in the fall and the winter.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, isn't it? Everyone's like, are you depressed? I was like, no, I'm actually,
No.
I've never been happier. I've never been happier. We are going to switch gears because it is October, so it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I'm really honored that you came on here because you have a personal story that you're going to share with us. And you actually wrote your personal experience on your website years ago?
Yes.
Yeah, and it was so compelling. It got picked up from various outlets, the Today Show website and other, I mean.
And, it's gone from there now. I actually went to check on that the other day.
It's gone?
Yeah.
We got to put it back on. Your story is so powerful, and I can't say this enough. And I reread it again the other day, and it's emotional. So thank you for coming here. Would you share your story?
Of course. Okay, let's see. Where to begin? In 2017, I was pregnant with my 2nd, which I lost at a very late stage, at 30 weeks in March. So that was awful.
Yeah.
But what happened afterwards, so I lost the baby on my 30-week checkup. There was no heartbeat. So then it was a stillborn and I had to deliver. But just with all my kids, it was all IVF. So I was, I went back to my IVF doctor. They did a full checkup on me. They're like, everything's fine. I mean, that even with the embryo, they test the embryos now, so the embryo was fine.
So there was nothing, there was no concern prior to 30 weeks?
No, nothing. Not one concern.
That's awful.
When they finally said it was a true knot in the umbilical cord, which ultimately that's how it happened.
Okay.
So I went back to my IVF doctor, and he was like, you have one more embryo in the freezer. I think, it's okay. It's not like an A+ embryo. I think you need to do one more round of IVF, because if you want to do this again, I want to give you the best chances where there's no miscarriage, nothing, the best possible chance. said, great. I said, I need a minute. I'm going to take this summer to just like chill and do nothing, and I'll come back and we'll start the process over again. So I did. I went back like end of August, beginning of September. I just turned 40. And as we were doing everything, he's like, oh yeah, you just turned 40, go get a mammo. I'm like, no. He's like, well, you can't say no. And I was like, no, I'm already like, I'm gearing myself up. I'm ready to do this. He's like, you have 3 weeks to test the embryo anyway. He's like, yeah, just get it done. I will not transfer the embryo into you until you get a mammo. Called the gynecologist. I'm like, we have to do this. You have to get me in and out fast. And she did, and lo and behold, they found something at first, and I wasn't concerned. I was like, great, I'll get a biopsy.
So they said, come in, we don't know.
Come in, we found something on the right breast. We just need to biopsy it, no problem. I definitely knew there was something going on when they started biopsying different points of the breast and then underneath the arm. But I still was like, okay, this is just a normal routine.
Right.
But then a week later, we found out it was breast cancer, which was shocking.
What stage?
So when I went to my incredible doctor, Dr. Port at the Joann Breast Center, she was like, we don't speak in stages. We're going to talk about how we're going to cure you.
Amazing.
But after everything was done, it was stage 3. I did X finally. I'm like, what was that stage again?
Joann, that's wild. I mean, you're already coming off of a major tragedy in your life. Your body's a mess. And then this happens. That's wild.
It was wild.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, if I didn't get that mammo, I probably wouldn't be sitting here with you today because it was spreading, which is why it was stage 3.
Yeah. So that mammo saved your life. Your beautiful child.
Oh, a million percent. Yes.
Saved your life. Yeah, because you never would have.
No, never.
Yeah.
Because you would have had the baby and then you would have breastfed for a year. So it would have been rampant.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, okay, so you're faced with your life literally, and now I feel like your life is like before this diagnosis and now after. Now, what do you decide to do once you hear this?
So I immediately try to find a doctor.
Yeah. Where'd you go?
I went to a friend of mine, thank God for her. She was like, I have the best doctor for you.
Okay.
And she's like, I'll put you in touch with her, and this is where you need to go. Because, first it's like, I'm scrambling to find, there's no real help to like kind of guide you to like where to go next.
Yeah.
But with my wonderful community, I found Dr. Port, and it was incredible. I will say, as scary as a cancer diagnosis is, what they have done for my life is amazing. I mean, you walk in and it's a full service. It's like, okay, great. We get blood work. This is what's going to happen. This is what we're going to do. We're going to get your MRI tomorrow. I'm like, tomorrow?
So it was quick.
Everything was quick. Within 1 week.
Wow.
I saw her on a Monday morning. By Friday, I had all my tests done and a plan in place.
Wow.
Which I will tell you, the scariest part than hearing the word cancer is not knowing. It's the unknown of what's next. So for them to get that done so quickly, I was great.
So you're like still but they're like pushing you through this plan that you want because you don't want to sit on this.
No, not at all.
And they get you going right away, and there's a plan in place.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think with my mind, it's like, okay, if I have a plan, I can do something now.
Yeah.
Rather than sit and Google every symptom and every report that you get from the portal and saying, okay, what's that mean? What do I have to do now?
Right. Do you mind sharing what that plan was?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was first a double mastectomy, followed by 8 rounds of chemo, and then 28 rounds of radiation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is a lot.
Yeah.
So what was that journey like as you were going through chemo and radiation?
I tell people it was the best time of my life.
Explain.
This is going to sound weird.
No, I'm loving this.
Okay,
explain.
so
no one would expect that.
I think everybody, especially in the city or no matter where you are, even as a mom, you're constantly, and with friends, you're constantly on the go. I have this dinner, I have to go here, I have to do this for this person. And you're never doing anything for yourself, right? It's all like, what can I do next to help somebody else?
Yes.
And the diagnosis gave me at times to be like, oh, I can't do any of this.
Life stopped.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm like, I can't go to that dinner. I can't go to that party. And maybe I didn't want to go.
Right.
and I'm just gonna stay home and hang out with Olivia at the time, or hang out with Phil, or go to my own dinner, or like do something different.
Yeah.
And everyone said no problem. Well, they said no problem because they knew, like, oh, wow, this poor girl is like now going through chemo.
You're like, but I'll take it.
But I'll take it.
Yeah.
And I did everything for myself, and it was great. I honestly, aside from the horrible chemo and the side effects, I was living my best life.
Wow. Wow.
Truly.
Can you share the course you took to not lose your hair?
Yeah. I did a cold cap.
Cold cap.
So
Explain
basically,
it.
what you do is you go an hour before chemo starts, and there's 2 different cold capping routines you can use. There's this thing called DignaCap, where like you sit next to this machine, they plug it in, they put a cooling cap on your head, and you sit there while you get your chemo and all of it. Or you can use a different way where you have someone come, and it's the same thing. They have the cooling cap, but it changes every 25 to 30 minutes.
Does it get colder or?
So the thing is that like it's more effective because it's ice cold. It's 30 below.
Wow.
And this like a freezing thing, and they put it on your head, and you feel like your head's gonna explode.
I can't.
And your body.
Imagine.
But after 25 minutes, you're completely numb and you don't feel a thing.
Okay.
But you have this angel of a woman who comes and then takes it off and does it again.
Wow.
So like every 30 minutes, you're getting another cooling cap on your head. So it starts an hour before chemo. My drip lasted an hour and 15 minutes, but you have to keep doing it for 6 to 8 hours after.
Oh my gosh, Joann. So the people that do cold plunges for like a minute, are you like, grow up?
I'm like, come on.
Yeah, grow up a little.
So I would be there at 8 in the morning, 7:30 in the morning, and I wouldn't get home till 8 o'clock at night.
Oh my gosh. And did it save your hair?
It saved 50% of my hair.
Wow,
There's a lot of rules. There's not
Okay.
like I love to like touch my hair and do that. You can't do that.
No. Are you glad you did that? Was it worth it?
I am. That's the only thing that I wasn't nervous about many things. That freaked me out. Only because, not because I was freaked out about losing my hair. It was for Olivia. Like, it was be like, you know, like she was already like, listen, she was like a very smart 5-year-old who like understood everything, understood that I lost the baby. And then like, I didn't want to say the word cancer, but I had to.
Yeah.
So for her, it's like, Phil was like, you know what, I can't do the hair. Phil thought I was insane. He's like, you're nuts, that this is the thing that's gonna break you down. I'm like, it will.
No, but I get that. There are certain things, and for you, and also it's also a identity thing.
Yeah.
It's just like there's so much change in my life. I don't feel like dealing with it.
Right.
That was you. That was your point. I'm not dealing with this.
So I said, at least I went wig shopping. I did all of it. They have the most amazing wigs ever. But I was like, let me try and see if I could do it. And I was able to handle it. It sucked. It sucked.
That is a time-consuming thing. I'm impressed with you.
Yeah, and it's like you can't even nap because every 30 minutes somebody's changing it.
No, you're like, can you not move my head? I'd love to get a good nap in.
I mean, they put like, just so you know how they like cover your head is maxi pads.
Stop.
Yeah.
To soak the.
No, just to like, not to like burn your, like not like freeze. Just, I was like, what is this? She's like, it's panty liners.
Hacks during this.
Yeah.
How are you today?
Great. I am 6 years out. Yeah, 2018.
I'm really happy
May
for you.
2018 was my last radiation. I'm still actively on meds. I take a pill every day.
Okay.
And I take a shot every 4 weeks.
Okay, and is that lifelong, or will that
10
end?
years.
10 years.
10 years. So their goal is that it'll stop, and you know, for me, I don't mind going. It makes me, I feel like I have a protective border around myself. It's a mental thing. I take my pill.
Yeah,
I get my shot every 4 weeks. For me, I'm healthy because they don't give you scans yearly.
Right, you've said that before.
Because they believe the scans will hurt you more than, you know.
How did you, during that time, how did you maintain your peace? What did you do to, I sound like a mom with a kid, fill your bucket? Like, how did you kind of balance?
You know, I did a lot of walking.
Okay.
Because I had to exercise and I worked, to be quite honest. I couldn't just be home. I think when you change your mindset and you've kind of like switched the brain on to do other things, it makes you feel better.
Yeah.
Like I would walk.
Sense of normalcy.
A sense of normalcy.
Right.
It's so funny. someone told me, and it still rings true, like you have to like change the furniture in your head. And that's how you like shift your thinking.
Yes. Yes.
And that's how I think it kept me, I was very calm. Like if you ask anyone, I was very calm during chemo. I was calm through like all of it.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
But literally work kind of helped me like be kind of in it. And I will say, like, I feel bad for anyone, and I knew a lot of people went through it during COVID because you couldn't do any of that. But working and like maintaining a normal life really helped me.
Thank you for sharing this, because who knows who's watching? The person that hasn't gotten a mammogram in years, get it. The person who's going through it, it's you're showing them like you can do this. What's your advice though, if anyone's watching that's actually going through it right now? Do you have anything that you could offer, having gone through it yourself?
Yeah, I think honestly, do what you want to do. Like take care of yourself.
Love it.
Do what makes you happy. Because this is hopefully, if you're going through it now, like it's a short amount of time, and once you get over to the other side, hopefully it's a blip and it's like a distant memory, but it stays with you for sure. It will change you 100%, as it did me. But it also, like, for me, it was more like I love to hear other people's stories, because it made me feel like, oh, that's who I want to talk to. It didn't make me feel alone. Like everyone could give me advice till no end, and my friends and my family, my husband, they were incredible. But I only wanted to talk to the girl who was going through it.
Definitely.
Because she was telling me the most important things.
Yes.
So I connected with anyone that went through it.
Yes.
And I made really great friends because they're the same. So that's why, like, now I would, like, everyone's like, can I put you in touch? And I always do it.
Yeah.
Because I think people need to understand that it's not a death sentence anymore.
Right.
And really, and I'm going to say it again, like, if you need to get the mammos. I'm the worst person. I mean, the only doctor I ever went to.
I'm due for one. Fine, Joanne. I'll do it.
The only doctor, I always kept my appointments were my IVF doctor. That was like religious, but it saved you. And I could, and just so you know, there was so many people after me who were very close to me that were on top of their mammos, and they were diagnosed, and they had the easiest, you know, stage 0.
I found like we're hearing more and more women getting breast cancer.
It's become the norm.
Okay, it's been the norm. I feel like you would know more, but I feel like in my circle, I'm hearing it more and more. And younger. Yeah. You used to think that this was for older people. It's not. It's for young.
I met so many young girls. So many.
Yeah. And then some, I've heard stories getting the elective because they're high risk, and there's a lot of stories out there.
I think, science has changed the game, and I think there's so much more, there's so much research that's done. Thank God.
Thank God.
Because it gives you a better outcome.
Thank you for sharing.
Of course.
Yeah, that it's inspiring. I'm so happy you have this story, and I know now that you carry this with you every time you go in for a checkup. That's something you just have to carry for the rest of your life. I don't want to speak for yourself, but I feel like you've said that before. Yeah. Okay, we are going to switch gears. You work in fashion. You got your start working in fashion in New York City. Tell me what aspect of fashion you're working in and what you did. Well,
I worked in wholesale. Well, my first job at Nicole Miller.
Nicole Miller, okay.
Was my first job. I actually interned for her while I was in college.
I don't think I remembered that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I interned for Nicole, and I was hired right after I graduated, and I was not the receptionist, but close to it.
That's awesome. You were willing to do anything. To get in there.
Anything.
Okay.
And then I became an assistant account executive, and then I became an account executive, and this is all in the wholesale world.
Explain wholesale.
Wholesale is when obviously my first job was Nicole Miller. I was in the showroom. I was selling the collection to buyers. So buyers such as the buyers of Saks or Neiman's or the Bergdorf's. And then mostly my career is based on small specialty store boutiques in the U.S.
Right.
So your mom and pop shops, they would come, and that's how, like, when you go into a clothing store, the clothes get there because of an account executive.
And if people are really into fashion and are watching, what you have in a store in LA might not be the same items that are in Miami that are in New York.
Exactly.
So
you're helping them with their buys. You're helping them make sure they're buying the right product
for their audience. Right. Now, what companies have you worked with besides Nicole Miller?
So Nicole Miller was my first job, and then I went to Diane von Furstenberg.
Good one.
And then I went to Theory.
Yeah.
And then after Theory, I left Theory, so it's now, what, Olivia's 11, so 12 years ago. And I started consulting. So basically I took what I did for big corporate fashion world and now put it into small emerging brands.
So you worked for some amazing companies. Well, first let me ask, and I'm gonna ask such a cliche question, don't roll your eyes. Is New York City fashion as cutthroat and competitive as it's portrayed on TV?
Yes.
I love that you said that. For some reason, I thought you were going to be like, there's actually some wonderful, because obviously
there is. Listen.
There is, but
there are some wonderful
not wrong.
people in this industry. You need to have a thick skin. It's a lot. I mean, when I was doing it, there was a lot of crazies.
I think,
and it's a matter of how you can deal with the crazy. It's like, how much crazy can you deal with? I can deal with them all. I love it. More crazy, the better.
I remember someone we might have had in common that almost got enjoyment out of like making people cry or see how far they could make that a person cry or see how thick a skin they had. This was like in the workplace. There was no proper way. There's no, working for small businesses, anything happened. People were being screamed at. People were, it was.
But that's
tough.
how I grew up in the fashion industry.
Yeah.
And it made me a better worker.
Did you ever be honest? You ever go to the bathroom and cry but let no one see you ever?
Maybe.
I did in the early days.
Oh, I know.
I'm like, you can't make me cry. And then I would go close my door and I'd be like, crying,
No, for sure. Definitely. There's definitely, yes, that aspect of it as well.
Yeah. It is wild. It is hard.
It's wild.
And it's hard to get a job. It's hard to keep your job.
Yes.
It is really tough. You are not being handheld. Like, people are like, why did you do this? Figure it out. No one is babying you.
No one is babying
So you have to literally figure it out and make it happen and stick with it.
Yes.
I know. I think it makes us who we are.
It does.
It
does.
I'm thankful
they don't
for
make
that
them like they do anymore.
I don't think so. I think HR has tightened up a little over the years.
HR has definitely tightened up over the years. You're not allowed to do certain things, but I still
scream.
There's still that environment that exists.
I totally agree.
It's fine.
Yeah. You went from working for these amazing companies. Why did you leave it all? And you obviously are an entrepreneur now, and we're going to get into that. You've mentioned it. What made you leave it all?
So I was commuting.
Yeah.
I was pregnant with Olivia.
Yeah.
And I was running Theory's women's wholesale business for specialty stores. I was doing a lot of traveling, long hours of commuting. And I knew that after going through, having, a long time to get Olivia, I was like, you know what, I need to work, but I don't know if I could just do this every day.
Right.
And I want to take what I do now and maybe see if I can help brands. Because there was so many people would come to me for advice and how to launch their wholesale business and what they need. I was like, I think there's a real need for this.
Right.
So I took a chance. I did it while I was still pregnant, which was good, because I think if I would have done it when I had the newborn, had Olivia, it would have been a little bit harder.
Were you working? Were you simultaneously doing your full-time job and doing this on the side?
I was knowing that, I knew I wasn't going to come back, and I was very honest with them. And so I was like, let's part ways now. So I left Theory. I started, and I had, they were wonderful when I left Theory. And actually, Andrew Rosen, who's the owner of Theory, had given me my first client when I left.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Maybe fashion isn't so cutthroat. That's pretty nice.
Yes. He was an incredible person to work for. So he was like, great, definitely try to do this. I could help you out.
That's incredible.
So I was able
you were saying you were getting lots of calls. You just weren't getting paid for the business you created at the time. Right. You're offering your advice.
Yes. Yeah. So it just started snowballing, where I was like all word of mouth. And it became like 2 or 3 brands would come to me at a time. And it just honestly was all word of mouth at that point.
So I was going to say, well, initially, did you do everything yourself? Did you outsource anything, or were you just kind of working from home?
Because it was just me.
Okay.
And I couldn't afford to hire anyone.
Was it just consulting on the phone at the time?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was just more of like, okay, what do you need?
Yeah.
who are the contacts you need?
Yes.
How do we going to build your strategy? What do you, kind of just telling them what they need to get to market and like how to get ready.
What's market for people who don't know?
So market is when there's 4 times a year, it's the fashion calendar, where brands showcase their collection to show to buyers.
Right. And what was your life like in the beginning of pregnancy, new mom, starting this new business?
Oh, it was crazy.
It was crazy.
It was crazy.
Okay.
I was living in Staten Island. I was home with Olivia. I was working. But the best part of having an infant is that they just sit. They don't.
Right.
You have to feed them and make sure they nap.
Right.
And keep them alive.
Diapers.
So I was able to do my calls, my emails, and it was wonderful.
Yeah.
But then I had a meeting in the city. I remember when I was breastfeeding. I was like, oh, okay, how do I do this now? I have to have one of my, either my mother-in-law or my mom come, and one meeting it was 8 hours because I had to get on the bus. I had to get into the city, I had a meeting, and then I had to get back. I was like, that's
hard.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But I did it, and I kept doing it. And it was more consulting over the phone and kind of getting all their ducks in a row just to get to market ready. But then we moved 6 months later.
Right.
Olivia was 6 months.
This amazing building, rooftop,
Yes.
community.
And then it was still hard, but at least I was closer to home if anything could happen.
Okay.
Which I think that's what no one realizes is that to live and work in the same spot is nice.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah.
Explain what your business is now.
So now, 12 years later, I'm still working with great brands. I've partnered up with a great friend of mine who's also in the industry.
Right.
And what we've decided is that, you have all these great brands and you help them grow, and now they're ready to September comes along and it's fashion week and it's market week, and where do they go? I'm like, they don't have a showroom. They're new designers, or they're designers that don't live here in the U.S. They're from overseas. So now it's like, okay, now what?
Right.
So then I was scrambling to find space. Do we do a trade show?
To showcase all these brands that you're repping. So you can make a ton of appointments. People can come in and look at all the offerings.
Exactly.
Right.
So now it's okay, do I put them in a trade show? Do I find a showroom, kind of rent showroom space?
Right.
So I did that for quite a while until I partnered up with my friend Tracy, and now we've come together and we rent space 4 times a year during those market months.
Awesome.
And we have 2-3 brands that we work with exclusively,
Okay.
but then we open it up to some great emerging brands, and they could just rent space from us.
Awesome.
So it gives them a home to show
Sure.
that they wouldn't have had. It's hard. It's hard to find a space
I
in
was
New
going
York.
to say, that's really hard.
Yeah.
Nothing's cheap around here.
Nothing.
Do you vet these emerging brands?
Yes.
So they are brands that you believe in.
Yeah.
Because it's also showcasing your name when they're in your space.
Exactly.
So-
And listen, we'll take a chance.
Yeah.
The way we kind of work is different than a showroom, and a showroom is where it's a multi-line showroom where there's 10 to 12 brands, and you have a bunch of account executives working in for each brand, and you have to pay a monthly retainer, you have to pay a commission, and you have a 2-3 year contract.
Right.
That's also a lot for an emerging designer.
It's a lot.
So what we're trying to do is something a little bit different at first, and give them a space to show.
That's
and
awesome.
Testing.
Yeah.
To see if it works.
Yes, and they don't have to spend an arm and a leg to be able to do this.
Exactly.
You're kind of giving them that opportunity. How do you find your clients? Is it word of mouth? Do you have to network? Okay, it's word of mouth.
I think being in the industry for so long, it's a lot of word of mouth.
Yeah.
They find us. Believe me, there are some brands that we keep our eye on that we want to.
So are you research also the market? Okay. Okay.
But for the most part, they find us.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. What trends are you seeing that stores? Can you share any trends people are looking
Color.
at?
Go.
Now,
go
what are you working
figure.
on? Are you working on fall, or are you 6 months ahead?
I just finished spring 25.
Right. So you work a season ahead.
Season ahead.
That's how fashion works. Okay. So for fall, what trends were hot, fashion or accessories that you saw that you?
For fall, honestly, it was a common thread of color. People are, even though, don't get me wrong, everyone's there's a common black, and that's what we need.
Obviously.
But there's dresses,
Wow.
colorful dresses, prints. It's kind of, it kind of stays, there's some where You know, it was more casual dressing. Obviously, during COVID, there was, you know,
Sweatpants.
it was a lot of sweatpants and a lot of casual tees and stuff like that. But now we've shifted. I think, you know, resort wear took a real big turn after COVID was done. People started traveling again.
Yes.
So it was a lot of color and dresses and
What challenges do you find the most in helping your clients get into these locations?
It's hard.
Yeah,
it's challenging.
It's oversaturated.
It's oversaturated. There's so many brands. The buyers are looking at millions of brands, new brands each season. So the challenge is, first of all, to get the buyer to actually respond, then to make the appointment, and then to close the deal.
Yes.
It's all hard. And it takes a long time. And sometimes the challenge that the designer doesn't understand is that it takes a few seasons.
Interesting.
It takes a lot.
And do you ever get intel from what your buyers are looking for? And can you tell your brands, like, this is what they're looking for the spring, if you want to make this happen?
That's the big part of my job, is to get them feedback.
Huge.
Because what I tell a brand when they first sign with us, it's about discovery. They don't know you. No one knows you.
No.
So this is a discovery period, and the discovery period could last quite a few seasons.
Yeah. So you're not just like introducing, you're doing a lot of behind scenes of guiding them, letting them know what to change, maybe what to take out, what might work, what doesn't work, and they can decide if they listen to you, which obviously they should.
They should, and sometimes they don't, which is fine.
Okay. Do you have one success story you could share of an emerging brand, a client that? Give me one.
I was working with this fabulous designer, and again, like, it was unknown, and then we just, you know, all the stars aligned, and it was just like, great. Oh, Birdress wants it. Wonderful. Oh, really? It's a Saks wants it now too. Like, and every great specialty store boutique, you know, wanted it. But listen, those are like success stories that
they're unicorns, but it does happen.
It does happen. I think it's really about staying true to your DNA and not veering, like, you know, sometimes you can get, you know, the buyers can get into your head and be like, they need this. But they're not pulling the trigger and they're not buying it. So you've created this big collection and now the buyer's like, we need more of this. I have to make more. I'm like, you don't. You don't have to make more of this. So I think it's more about staying true to your DNA, and those unicorns happen every now and then. But you know, when people see new brands come on, they're like everywhere. You don't know that brand took 10 years to get there.
Right. So what would you? So there's a person watching now that has this brand they created, whether it's fashion or accessories, and they want help or tips to cut through the clutter and get their brand in stores. Besides calling you, what initial advice? Which call Joann.
Yeah.
But what initial advice would you give to that person?
Research.
Yeah.
There's a ton of research to be done. You need to know where your brand fits, and that's the one misconception. You know, someone thinks that their brand belongs to Bergdorf, and it doesn't.
Right.
Or something, or in a Stanley Korshak, or, you know, all these. There's amazing specialty store boutiques all over the U.S., and they, you know, some people just want to be in like top stores.
Right.
And sometimes that's not the right fit. And it's about not only creating a good foundation, because if you can show your items and then sell it, if you don't have the infrastructure to actually follow through, then you're going to go out of business. Yes. Which I've seen before.
Key point.
Yeah, it's not just about selling it and making the deal happen, because now you got to produce it, now you got to ship it, and now you got to make sure it fits.
Yes.
And what are you going to do if it doesn't sell? And who's selling it on the floor?
You're stressing me out.
I know, I'm stressing.
And I don't have a brand to sell. Yeah, so it's all of that.
Aside from doing the right research, it's about making the investment in the foundation of the brand.
And call Joann.
Yeah, I'll help you.
Where do you see yourself in a few years? Like, do you have an end goal here, or are you just enjoying what you do?
I'm enjoying what I do. Okay. I really enjoy what I do. It's as much as it makes me crazy and stressed and angry sometimes.
Of course. Because you're passionate. Those are all the feelings of being passionate.
But when a brand becomes successful and knowing that I had a part in it, makes me so happy. Yeah. So I would love to continue to do this, probably for a long time.
Yeah. Okay, we are moving to rapid fire.
Okay.
So fun. I'll try not to respond to because no one cares what I have to say. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and just whatever comes off the top of your head, just answer.
Okay.
Okay? Subway or bus?
I like to walk, but subway.
Okay. Love it. It's favorite place for coffee in New York City?
Oh, my kitchen.
I love You're not the first person to say that. I love that. What keeps you up at night?
TikTok.
TikTok. Fair. What New York City activity do you like to do with your kids?
Aside from kind of going to the park, museums.
Museums. Favorite New York spot for drinks?
Oh, that's a good one.
I'm waiting for you to say your rooftop.
I am going to say my rooftop. Because I make a great martini.
Can I have one sometime?
Yeah.
Go-to shopping spots in New York.
Okay, there's a lot. Listen, I love Special Store Boutique. So I love the West Side. I love Ott.
Good.
I love, I'm blanking on the one right there. Elise Walker is now in New York. Like the small boutiques I love to go see.
Any other ones? I love it.
La Garçon.
Okay. Yeah, good ones. Date night spots. Don't say your rooftop.
No, it's not my rooftop. We'll go to Mr. Chow in Tribeca, or we used to go to Nobu when it was right next to us.
Love.
That's it.
Yeah. Most challenging part of your day?
Oh, getting those girls off to school.
It's the hardest, isn't it? And
They
you
don't-
came here. It's morning time right now. You did it all,
yeah.
and you got here.
I took a shower. I blew out my hair.
Yeah, I'm proud of you.
I put on makeup.
Yeah, good job.
And no one wants to eat breakfast. I know.
Darn kids. Best celeb spotting or run-in?
Oh, anything where I see John Bon Jovi.
Oh, so good. So
Quite a
good.
few times.
And you're obsessed with Bon. I mean, everyone loves him, but there's a special
And just
love that
like
you have.
a few years back, a while back, it was my anniversary like it is today.
Aw.
And Phil said I got tickets to the Yankee game. So me, Phil, Annette, my best friend,
Yeah.
we go to the Yankee game. I'm like, oh, this is a lovely anniversary. But guess who was there?
John.
John Bon Jovi.
Where was he?
He was just sitting.
Oh my gosh. So he's everywhere you are.
Yeah.
Maybe he's following you.
Maybe.
Favorite book, TV show, podcast? What are you loving these days?
Oh,
Real Housewives.
I'm really, listen, it's the Housewives hands down.
Which one?
Oh, Salt Lake City, New Jersey, Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
You name it, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do better reading with books. I really am.
I know. It's hard.
It's hard.
It comes and goes in waves, at least for me. Finally, go to self-care routine, whatever that is.
Oh, I make sure, and this is ever since being diagnosed, because that was one thing I wanted, was like to make sure my appearance stayed as good as possible. I found this amazing place called Knockout Beauty, which is up here by you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keep going.
And I fell in love with Kaylee, and who owns it, and she has this amazing esthetician, Ludima, who does facials, and that is the one thing that I is like religious.
That's
I
incredible.
get a facial, and I go only to her for products.
Okay, calling her after
Yeah,
me on
you
this.
should. You
That's
should.
awesome. Thanks for the tip.
Yeah, and I really I like to veer and like try different things. That's
You
one
always
thing
go
I
back.
go.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Joann, this is amazing.
this was so fun.
This was a blast. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.